Welcome back, boys and girls, to another lesson with Miss Brown. Today we are on book 102, and our book, it's a fiction book, fantasy. It's called Tucker's Story. It's quite a fun book to read. So head up your writing books. Book 102, Tucker's Story. This apostrophe S shows possession, means that the story belongs to Tucker. It's his story. We're going to be talking about that a little bit later on. Our word study today, we're going to be looking at homophones, and homophones are tricky. I used to always, still to this day, I still sometimes get homophones, homonyms, homographs mixed up. It's good to have an understanding of them, especially because I'm sure that at some point someone's going to give you a test on them just to see if you're paying attention. They are a little bit tricky. All right, so you should have the first 3 lines headed up, and I have some examples are homophones. So this is one trick that helps me remember homophones. This word phone means hear or sound. And these homophones actually sound alike, but they have different meanings, okay, and different spellings. All right? So the first homophone that we have, bear and bear. So the first bear is an animal. The second bear means that you are without something. You don't have any of something. Okay? Then we have whole and whole. The first one is like this. You can look through a hole, or you can go through a hole. And this whole means an entire piece of something. Then we have sense and sense. This one is talking about currency. This one is talking about like your common sense. Okay, can you make sense of something? Do you know right from wrong? Next, guessed and guess. This one is thinking of an answer, coming up with a solution. This one is a person who might be important to you that you might have at your house or at a party. And the last one is peace and peace. This piece is a portion of something, and this piece is the opposite of war. You don't want violence. Okay? All right, so at this point you can press me on pause. If you can think of maybe 2 or 3 more homophones before you turn your writing books into me, that would be great. Okay, so moving right along. Okay, so our comprehension today, we're going to be thinking about understanding a writer's decisions, selective point of view. Well, first of all, before we tackle this, let's just unpack a little bit of this. So, selective point of view. Well, you have 3 examples of point of view. You can have the first person point of view, you can have the second person point of view, and you can have the third person point of view. So, point of view means who is telling the story. Whose point of view is it from? If you were telling the story, you would say I woke up one day and it was so hot outside. I decided I wanted a cold drink. I got one for me and my friend. Okay, so you'll be using words like I, me, mine, we. Okay, so when you were telling the story, it's coming from your point of view. Okay, so all your ideas, all of your feelings, that's first person point of view. Second person point of view, you might not always see the word you, but it's basically somebody else giving instructions. So if you were to read a list of ingredients to bake a cake, first you need to get some milk. Then you need to get some flour. Grab a bowl so that you can stir around. So it's somebody telling you what to do. Okay, so normally it's like a list of instructions, directions, a sequence of events. The last point of view is third person. So this is when other people are telling the story. Okay, so it's outsiders almost looking in. So you'll see words like he, she, they. Okay, so Sally woke up early on Saturday morning. She couldn't wait for her first day of school. She was so excited. Okay, so it's one person telling the story about somebody else. It's an outsider looking in. Our story today, I'm going to read a little bit of it for you, and I want you to tell me which point of view did the author use. Is it first person, second person, or third person? Okay, and I'm going to explain to you what I want you to think about. All right, so this book, Tucker's Story, is about a little puppy who was at the animal shelter, and he really wanted to find a new home, and he found a great home that he thought, but he wasn't quite doing things right, and the mother wasn't really happy. So he's telling of his experience. Shoot, I think I gave away the answer. Okay, let me stop talking. I'll read a bit, and then you can tell me which point of view Tucker's Story is told from. All right, Tucker's Story. Okay, Sunday. I have a new home. It's a great place with lots of corners to sniff and a hallway for running and sliding. I'm not so sure about the mom person, but the girl, Keela, smells like hot dogs, and she drops a lot of crumbs on the floor. I love the kid. Muffin said I'd never get adopted from the animal shelter because I'm all legs and ears and not so cute. But here I am. I'm so happy. I could just bark, 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 bark. So what point of view is it? Ms. Brown gave it a Ray, but I hope you said that it's first person point of view. So Tucker, and it says that the title is kind of a giveaway as well, Tucker's Story. Okay, so it's coming from his perspective. So the next thing I want you to think about is, how do you think that the author wants us to feel about Tucker as we're reading the story? It's from his point of view, so it's a little bit persuasive, but how do you think he wants us to feel? I'm going to read a little bit more. I guess barking isn't such a good idea. The mom's mouth twists up and she yells a lot of loud words about no barking. She sounds like she's barking herself. Humans, who can understand them? Keela is nice though. She lets me lick her face after she ate a hamburger. She makes me so happy. I could just... Uh-oh. Okay, so what's the uh-oh? I guess the rules are no barking and no peeing on the rug. Okay, I get it. The mom person doesn't have to yell so loud. I've heard that sometimes it takes human babies 2 or 3 years to learn about peeing. So why is she getting so mad? I was really hoping to find the perfect owner, but this one doesn't seem so smart about puppies. Okay, so at this point I want you to pause and continue reading Tucker's Story, and then we're going to continue on with a writing activity. Okay, so you had enough time to continue reading Tucker's Story. So it was a fantasy, quite a delightful tale. We talked about understanding a writer's decision, selective point of view. We said that this book was written from the first person because it's written from Tucker's point of view. It's Tucker's story. So this is what I want you to think about. I kind of feel like the writer of the story wanted us to side with Tucker. He wanted us to have sympathy for Tucker, the way the style of his writing, the way that he was writing. So what I want you to do is I want you to give evidence of how reading the story from Tucker's perspective, his point of view, made us sympathetic to his ordeal. Okay, so ordeal just means like what you're going through. All right, so sympathy means when you feel sorry for somebody. So if you're sympathetic, it means that you feel sorry for somebody. So what did Tucker say? What words and phrases did the author use to show that we should feel sorry for Tucker? So what I want you to do is I want you to turn open to turn to page 5. Looks like this. Okay, so Tucker just got to the house. He's excited. He's running up and down. He's smelling Keela. She smells like food. He's excited. But then he says, and when you get excited, you get animated, especially dogs and cats are jumping all over the place. So the first thing that kind of makes me have a little bit of sympathy for Tucker is when he says, I guess barking isn't such a good idea. The mom's mouth twists up and she yells a lot of loud words about no barking. She sounds like she is barking herself. Humans, who can understand them? So this was the first time for me that I actually felt a bit sorry for Tucker because he's a little puppy. He doesn't really know any better yet. Nobody told him you can't bark. So he's saying that I guess it's not a good idea because she's yelling at me and her mouth is all twisted up like, stop it. So this is the first part. This is evidence for me that I felt sympathy for Tucker. I'm thinking like, oh, poor guy. He didn't know he wasn't supposed to bark. So what I want you to go through and I want you to find evidence from the story of where the author wanted us to feel sympathy for Tucker and the ordeal that he was going through. So you can just write the page number and just like a short little blurb about why we should feel sorry for Tucker or the style that the writer used. How did he want us to have sympathy for Tucker? Okay? All right, so that is it for today. I'm looking forward to seeing what you came up with. Enjoy the rest of your day, whatever you're going to get into, and I will see you soon in class.